This was a very interesting article that was sent to me. And I say interesting in the fact that it's not something that I would have expected to come across or have sent to me. So we all know how I like to say black people, specifically black Americans, are the trendsetters of the world. Like literally anything we touch turns to gold, damn near platinum, and the world just kind of follows suit, especially when it comes to things that are trendy or things that are in. And usually if we don't give it approval, no one else is going to hop on it. Well, this individual by the name of Vadim Shukov, who is an ally to Vladimir Putin, has decided to take a jab specifically at black Americans. I'm going to actually read to you the title from the article, and it'll put some things in perspective for you, but it's going to probably catch you off guard as well. It says Putin ally blames crisis on rise of black U.S. music stars he calls descendants of African American slaves. That is the title, y'all. I'm not even making this up. That's what it says. This guy is literally blaming the stuff that's going on over there on black music, or music that is pushed out there by black artists, specifically those who are the descendants of American slaves, or FBA. I'll put it like that. That's what he said. Now, I don't know what this article is going to entail or what proof he has of this, but I find it very interesting that that's where he's putting his blame at, considering what Russia is going through right now. Keep in mind, Russia doesn't have a huge black population, specifically any black American population, and the only black American we know that's living over there is Brittany Griner, and not only is she locked up, but she's not even an artist. She's not in the music industry. She's a ball player. So I'm curious to see why he even said that. But like I said, this blame game of blame black people for stuff has now gone global. He didn't blame any other group. He specifically said black U.S. music stars, specifically those who are American. Let's get into it. In a sign of the times for Vladimir Putin's twisted Russian regime, a regional governor has been backed by the state Duma after saying the descendants of African American slaves are to blame for the country's growing crisis. Vadim Shukov, governor of the Kurgan region, said Russian society was collapsing, as exemplified by the rising rate of suicide and depression among young people. And it can all be traced back to the popularity of black American stars in the music industry. So he's saying that the rise of depression and suicide amongst people of a certain age group over in Russia is to put black music to blame as to why that is. I need to see a study to back this claim up, because right now all that is a claim. Let's continue. In a bizarre rant posted on his official Telegram channel, Shumkov described a gaping hole of emptiness at the center of Russian culture, which he argued was not the result of poverty, war, or rampant corruption, but a quote-unquote underestimation of the importance of native national culture. Many of our children are already growing up without knowing or remembering their kindred tribe, he lamented, claiming that they are instead singing songs written by the descendants of African American slaves, often playing the ape and imitating the habits and language brimming with frankly second-rate quasi-cultural vulgarity, clinging to this secondariness, being proud of it. So listen to that. This guy literally has an axe to grind with black culture, black American culture, it seems. He said it's not coming from what could most likely be causing it. It's black music. It's black culture. That is the contribution as to why the young people over there are feeling depressed or something like that. And I feel like this is dog whistle language, but let me continue. Hence the growth of overt spiritual emptiness, depression, suicides, the lack of meaning in life, he wrote. Though Shumkov did not mention Russia's war against Ukraine as a possible reason for the bleak mood in the country, he went on to hint at a growing rift between ordinary Russians that he blamed on outside forces, claiming that neglect of native culture has led to a biblical Cain and Abel situation, with brothers pitted against brothers by foreign well-wishers who see them as expendable. While Shumkov remarks were simultaneously mocked and criticized on social media, the Russian State Duma found nothing offensive in his argument. Of course, they're not going to find anything offensive in it because they're over there. They're going to agree with it. Alexander Sholakov, the deputy chairman of the State Duma Committee on Culture, told local media there was nothing inflammatory in his comments because he'd used the term African American. Okay. That goes back to what I've said and many others have said. Just because they don't say the N-word does not mean that they aren't dub S. See, he felt that it wasn't offensive because he said African American and not the N-word, or even just say black. So because he used the nicer term, we aren't supposed to be offended by it, nor are they offended by it. See, y'all got to pay attention to language. I think that depression is connected with the lack of ideology in our country, Sholakov said. I disagree with allegations of incitement. He used the word African American. The governor acted more than politically correct, using literally the American version to designate this race. And besides, the same African American culture occupies a significant part of show business and variety shows. To me, it just sounds like they hating. It sounds to me like a lot of people over in Russia, maybe of a certain age, maybe younger, are listening to a lot of music that is being played, and they feel some type of way about it because they might feel, because notice he kept mentioning something about culture and almost like a loss of their kindred tribe in their culture. He feels that that Black American culture is so heavily popular and so heavily influenced that it's starting to replace whatever it is that they have going on over there. This is exactly why I have told people over and over again that Black Americans are the trendsetters of the world. This statement that I have leaned heavy on for several years now, and I've said it in plenty of my videos, and y'all have been around to hear me say it. This right here proves exactly my point. This man is all the way over in Russia in the middle of a war between another nation that has no Black Americans in it, as far as I know, at least not enough to influence anything. And his gripe with the depression of young Russian youth or whoever it is over there he's talking about, his gripe is with Black Americans' music and culture as the cause as to why they're being so depressed and why they might be committing suicide. The article even stated right there, it says, even with the growing tensions of this war between them and Ukraine, we are the issue. Like I said, the blame game of Black Americans for whatever issue people have has gone global. And this is your perfect example right here. This guy, as far as I'm concerned, is talking out of the side of his neck. He just puts anything out there, and for whatever reason, he just had to find a way to come at Black people's neck. But I found it even more interesting that he referred to it as Black American descendants of slavery. He called it descendants of African American slaves. He's on social media, which means he also has been watching and listening to the new Black media to even say that out of his mouth. Because who else says descendants of African American slaves? Or FBA? Us. We started that. So he's been watching, he's looking, and he's lurking, or he has some lurkers. And he had to find a way to pin blame onto us for whatever is going on in his nation, even though we can clearly see what it really is. This is the ultimate Stretch Armstrong, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic reach I have ever heard in my life. Let me tell y'all right now, our culture may have influenced the world several times over, but I can guarantee that it's not influencing whatever it is is going on over there. I don't know any parts of our culture that has helped influence the start of a war, or any wars for that matter. That's just me. Maybe he needs to look into seeing what's going on in the culture, in the backyard of his culture, to see why everything is going on, because I highly doubt it's what he claims it is. And for him to even say that, that's asinine. That is absurd. But I get it. I get it. You needed to find a way to keep black people's names in your mouth, and that was your way of doing it. They say flattery, is a biggest form of flattery is like compliment or something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't even think of the actual phrase, but I don't even see this as flattery. It's dog whistle language, but to me, it's comedy at the end of the day, because it's like, what? This came completely out of left field. Where was this coming from? But yeah, I just wanted to bring this story to y'all attention in case y'all were unaware that this even happened. I don't understand if you were not completely aware, because this one's probably going to fly under the radar. But again, he said descendants of American slaves, and he blames the crisis on the rise of black U.S. music stars, which he says rise. So that means that that our music must be getting popular over there, or just now getting popular, although I truly believe that it's been there. But he has to point the finger of blame at somebody, and he's pointing the finger of blame at our culture. And again, this is nothing new, because we always seem to get pointed out in a lineup whenever they need to blame a group of people on something that's negative. So I guess it's now our fault, which is why Russia is in the state that it's in. That's basically what he's saying. Russia is in the state that it's in based on his opinion because of our culture. Interesting. Very interesting.